Hello, everyone. Welcome. My name is Marilyn Shannon, and this is SkyWire, and we're really delighted to have each and every one of you with us today. We have a packed film strip. Isn't this lovely? And we're going to have just a wonderful conversation. Again, deep. Again, eye-opening, profound, and life-changing. But before we get into the meat and potatoes of our show, I want to welcome all of you that are listening. We're always delighted to have you, whether you are hearing us live or you're watching the show after it's been done. Learning happens all the time. So ahas happen all the time. So we're happy to have you, and as always, please keep coming back and joining us. If you are here, we'd love to see you in the chat, not in the chat, excuse me, in the comments. Just give us anything that you have going on. We'd love to hear from you. Anytime you have an experience from what you hear, let it become all of our experiences, and we look forward to that. So with that, I would love very much to introduce you to who is in our film strip. We have Marguerite, we have Katrina, we have Kalani, who's back, yay. We have Gail, we have Elaine, and we have Heidi, and then we have Sheila in the comment stream, and she's there supporting all of us as she always is. So before we get into the show, I would like very much to have each of our ladies share with you who they are today. And we'll start with Marguerite. Marguerite, who are you today?
I think I feel like I'm a light. I want to be a light. And that is because tomorrow is the Santa Lucia holiday in Sweden where, they put the crown with candle in the hair. And I want to be today one of those lights.
Beautiful. Thank you. That gave me a visual. And Katrina, who are you today?
Today, I want to be someone who is not only holding space, but really just having to show up with an open heart and support all of you ladies and share
As
some
you,
of my own space too.
cool, as you always are. And Kehlani,
Good morning. I'm Kalyani Roldan. Today, well, I'm going to say every day, I am an ever expanding creative expression of the divine, and I'm just always seeking to be my greatest version so that I can show other women how to do the same.
terrific. And we're happy to have you do that right here, right now. And Gail,
Hi everybody, great to be back. So today I am pleased to say that I am peaceful and happy. The listening, my heart is open wide. I've been, my listening has really helped a lot of people lately, and they came back and told me that. So I'm just having such a sense of harmony. So I hope to contribute that even more.
perfect. And you will, I know. And Elaine,
Well, today I am shape shifting and I am playing in a new way, and that's experiencing my relationship both with my panelists and the viewers, um, doing some comment tracking, and just feeling into the experience of observing and communicating in some new ways.
ooh, good for you, Elaine. And Heidi,
Today I feel like being a little bit in my musician self because we had now a show talking about listening and sound, and I came back into the desire to emanate sounds, just sounds out of the heart. How you feel instead of talking. I something like that.
that was perfect. I love that. Thank you for that. Oh, I just love how unique we all are and yet so connected and so similar. Isn't that so interesting? So thank you for that. Today, I've been working a lot with the word gratitude and being grateful for that which I am, whatever that is, whether it's it's anything. I'm grateful for a pain in my leg, and I'm grateful for everything. So that's who I am, and I'm grateful for being here. Rain, hello, happy to have you out there. She commented, so good morning to you too. All right, here we go. I want to ask Katrina to please be the first one to share today, because last week after our profound show, she came up with a really great idea to end our year and beginning a new one and transitioning. So I want to ask her to first, kind of explain her idea, and that's where we're going today. So go ahead, Katrina.
Okay. For me, I know that the holiday time can be not only an area where you're really kind of tuning in to everybody else's needs, but it's not necessarily that you can always put your own first. You connect with other people that you've known long ago, and you've changed a lot since then, and they may still be seeing you in the person that you used to be, so that can be challenging. At the same time, when you show up for holiday events or connect with people that you don't see very often, it's a little bit of a challenge to sort of really kind of show up to be yourself, while also giving them space to show up as themselves, because you're not used to seeing them or being around them. And in the holidays in particular, I think it can be very hard for people just to be, because you're out of your normal routine, you're out of your normal spaces where you go to escape, or your normal pastimes, that kind of stuff. So I think it's really important for people to be mindful of, hey, when I'm in this space with these people, how can I really still show up and really be an authentic listener, not only for them, but for myself? Can I actually listen and tune into what I need and try my best to give that to myself, while also honoring where another person is, wherever that may be?
Perfect. Well, and so that's a perfect entree into the quote that I posted. And before I do, I want to say to Sheila, I don't know if I said anything about her in the opening, but she's instrumental to the show, and she's out in the comments, so just in case I forgot. So I had a really hard time putting the words together, because I wanted to say what Katrina said, but I can't always say what Katrina says, because she's just so good at what she says and how she does express it. So I was kind of troubled with putting it together, and maybe I had it, but I needed something else. So what I had wasn't what I was supposed to put, and what I needed I didn't have. So I had to kind of wait for it to come and listen for it. And I had been in an earlier this was Sunday. Earlier Sunday I had gone to hear a lecture about spirituality and addiction, and it was really awesome. And I got the link to a video for this gentleman that was speaking, and I hadn't listened to it, and I was trying to do the show, but I couldn't get it right. So I said, you know what, I'm just going to take a break and listen to this video. The first words out of his mouth was, "Who am I and who are you?" And I thought, there it is. How perfect is this? This is really kind of fun. So I said, okay, that's it. Who am I? Who are you? And how does listening connect us, even separate us, help us to be unique at a time when there's so much going on? So I listened to the whole thing, and then he gave, at the end, he summed it all up with this quote. I don't know if you've heard this quote before, but it is a famous quote, and it was perfect for what I wanted to help relay here and what I think I wanted to capture from Katrina. I'm going to read it. If I am not for myself, then who will be for me? And if I am only for myself, then what am I? And if not now, when? And I can hear this, and I almost want to just cry. So if I do, I don't know, it just touches me so much. So I'd love to ask you all to give me your explanation or your understanding of what this means, and what does it mean for us in our me self. So let's start with Marguerite. You always like to be you're always courageous in starting.
Thank you, Marilyn. It's such a pleasure, and I'm so grateful to be here. But what I saw when you read this poem or this quote, I saw that flame inside of my heart, and I felt like this flame became bigger and burned away any kind of affliction or self-obsession or any kind of dislike or whatever, any kind of issue I may have. And I felt that light so clearly, and I got goosebumps on my arms when you read this quote. And I'm sort of feeling that feeling of having experienced that internally in myself. So that's all I can say, and I want to share that light with you.
Okay, we'll take it. We'll take the light. So thank you, because I felt it too, and so that was, thank you very much. So Kalani, what do you think the quote is inferring?
Well, first I want to say I am totally thrilled to be here with you ladies. It's been such a while, and I'm so excited to be sharing this conversation right before the holiday time, when so much obligation comes up for everybody. I think that we all kind of have a little bit of that challenge in everyday life, but this time of year it becomes so much about what I have to do, what I'm supposed to do, what's appropriate, what's etiquette, all those things where nobody's thinking about how can I just celebrate another day in life? How can I celebrate what really the season is about? It's not about just the one-day event. There's so many other religions that experience something totally different than we do here in America, that is not even about this tree, this beautiful tree that's behind me. And so much comes up between, family and friends, and, like Katrina's saying, how do we take care of ourselves? How do we honor ourselves and yet still be a part of the celebrations that go on without feeling so much obligation that it has to be some certain way? And I'm thinking, for me, this is something I've learned over a long journey, just about life in general, is that this notion of me before we. It's not me or we, but it's me before we, because it pertains to everything in life, and especially, I'll give you the greatest example. When you're on an airplane and they're teaching you that little spiel about, the oxygen mask, and should the plane go down, take care of yourself before you put it on your children, because you have to be fully prepared for yourself before you can take care of somebody else. And it goes to the same thing in life. So this me before we is not selfish. It's not that you don't care about the others around you. It's not that you don't care about what others need. It's that you can't be present if all you're concerned about is taking care of everybody else and being what everybody else needs you to be for the season or whatever it is. You have to just honor who you are and what your needs are, and show up in your truth, not in what's supposed to be for this season that we're in right now.
Exactly. It should, really, and that was beautiful. So thank you for saying that, because really the season can heighten all of it. But we are the same, whether it's January, March, July, it doesn't matter. So that was beautiful. Thank you very much, Kilani. And I want to also welcome Nicole and Mama Char. We're really happy to have all of you here. And if you're listening and you're not in the comments, we'd love to have you in there. It's okay if you don't want to be. You do whatever you're comfortable with. But we would love you to be with us in this, and we want to be with you. So if you'd like to take part, that's great.
Hey, Marilyn, could we
Yes,
put up
yeah.
Mama Shar's comment? Could you pin me, please?
Okay, so I pinned it. Now you want to put it up again?
Yeah, so it should be up.
Okay.
And Mama Shar, one of our fairly regular visitors, and I'm so glad she's here today. She says, for me, this time of year, and the quote, "Who am I and who are you?" is like the second greatest commandment, is love thy neighbor as thyself. To some, they would need to love their neighbor more. But for some of us, we need to be reminded to love, and then I think she says ourselves first.
That's it. That's it.
So that's beautiful. I also want to say hello to Nicole Levac, who's with us again and has greeted us. We're so glad she's with us today.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, that was a perfect comment from you. I really appreciate that. And yes, we have to, loving myself doesn't take away the love I have for you. It just intensifies it. So that's great. So Gail, let's come right to you.
Okay. So I've been dwelling on it as people have been talking. So, if I am not for me, who will be? So that really says that you have to know who you are. Nobody can give that to you. And if I am not for you, who am I? And so that part is the part that really wells me up, because, and it's really what everybody has been saying, that when you know who you are and you are for you, then you know who everybody else is, and you can know what they need. And truly, that separation between me and you disappears when you know who you are. Because when you know who you are, you know who everybody else is too. Right. And we're really all one.
That's right. And that was a good point. I mean, because nobody can be there for me more than I can. And if they are, something's not right with that picture. It's like, I can't be there more for somebody more than they are for themselves. There's something not right with that picture. So that was a really good point, Gail. Thank you very much for bringing that up. Elaine?
What's so interesting, as you call on me, I look outside my window and there are these gentle snowflakes falling. It just started snowing, and I'm remarking about that, and this is what is just effortlessly flowing out of my mouth, because I wasn't expecting to say that. I was expecting to talk about how this quote spurs me to think, wait a minute, let me unpin this. Yeah. Hold on. Ha ha ha, ha ha ha. I will unpin it. There we go. There I am. This quote has spurred me to reflect on my truest self is the observer. My most expansive self is this observer that kind of goes on above my body and kind of looks down and notices what I'm thinking and what I'm feeling and whether I'm contracted or whether I feel expansive. That's the truest part of me. And that observer can really effortlessly shift from looking and observing and blessing me, and then shift to looking and observing, the greater me, the neighbor of me. And Heidi's singing at the beginning of the show, because it so effortlessly emerged without defense, she was honoring that. It really made me think how we are the conductors of our lives. When you're conducting music, you feel a tempo, and when we at least once in a day remember my truest self is this observer, then I can kind of effortlessly flow from just observing, what looks like the body of me, and tend to my need and, you know, do whatever I'm called to do, and then let that service flow then in my expression and connection with other. I don't know. That's just what I'm led to say at the moment.
No, I think that was a, that is a direction that I hadn't seen as far as in that quote is concerned, that the different parts of me, but obviously, we all are connected. So, but that is a great way to look at it. So I'm gonna contemplate a little bit more about that. But that was a good way of putting it. So thank you for that. Heidi, are you gonna sing or hum to us?
I could talk singing, 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 but it takes too long, I guess, so I would talk. I agree with everybody of you. And how was the quote? If I'm not for me, then who is? And I think, especially we women, we really have to learn that. I want to give a little bit of context, because we have so much lived in the idea that we have to sacrifice ourselves for the happiness of others. And this is actually not possible. So we have learned to get our needs met in a very strange, undercover way, or we just gave up on ourselves. And both is not good for the others. We don't serve others when we are not happy. So, for instance, if parents sacrifice their life for their children, what a burden is it for the children?
Mm-hmm.
It was already Jung who said the best service you can do for your children is be happy. Be as well with yourself as you can, and then the children will thrive. But when you sacrifice, as I do everything for you, and I do that for you now in the holidays, when you do everything for your family, think a bit. Do you really need to do that? Do you do it because you really, really want it out of the bottom of your heart? Or is it because it's a convention? Because people expect you to do it, and because you are too fearful to say, no, this time I don't cook, let's go to a restaurant, something like that? Mm-hmm. So we really need to take care for ourselves in this way, knowing which voice is speaking. If it's the voice of instruction, the voice of habit, of what people told you should be, or is it your genuine voice, and is it expressing your really inner need to do what you do?
Right. Good point. But I would say that I believe that both genders men and women experience this, because we're all one. So my masculine side is going to experience something very similar, and that's why I want to talk about the listening part of this time of year, of ourselves, of who we are. I want to go into what are we listening for? How does our listening help us take care of this? Or how does our listening help us remember, remind us, take us to the next step? And I see that we have a quote, so not a quote, a comment. Let's go to the comment, then I'm going to start with Katrina. Okay? So Elaine, you want to tell us what that is?
Sure. So if you can pin that, everyone can see it as well. Nicole is saying, the observer. Oh, I love that, Elaine Nieberding. I was late because I observed myself in nature during a walk. The experience that I was having of myself while being completely present for myself in that moment allows me to come back and to participate with others.
Mm-hmm. That's perfect. She's feeding her soul.
Yeah, and what I think she's saying, she's really relating back the idea of the observer to listening to ourselves. They are the same kinds of activities. The listening in, the observing, the noticing. Is my focus kind of narrow, on myself, but perfectly placed there? And does that paying attention, listening to what is moving, what needs to be expressed, then that really blesses everyone else.
Yes, it does. Thank you. Well, everything is listening, right? So anything that's going to give off any information takes listening. So observing, whatever you get from that observation is listening. Everything. Let's go. So let's go right to Katrina. Thank you, Nicole, for that. And I appreciate the comment and I appreciate the action, because when you, as I said, when you take care of yourself, then you're better able to give to others. So, and clearer. So, that's all the same. So thank you very much for that. Okay, Katrina, so listening. How do you bring in listening into this world that we're talking about? And how does that heal us, soothe us? How does that work for us this time of year?
I think the most important thing to remember is, how do you listen? And do you feel that you need to act immediately when you hear something? Because I think the two are very closely related. A lot of times we hear something that may be coming from another person, and although you're aware of it, do you need to act on it? Is it something that you need to sit on a little bit, like you did with the quote, just waiting for that perfect time? And I think in the holidays, it's a very rushed period for a lot of people. Obligations, commitments, sometimes you're not eating the way you would normally eat. So your mood changes a little bit, and I think it's important to remember all of those things. So if you know how you listen, and you're hearing a lot of stuff but feel like, hey, I need to act on this right away, well, is that how you would normally feel, or do you normally kind of sit with things first? Because then you start to sense, like, this isn't how I normally am, actually. And you start to feel a little bit of that anxiety or a little bit of that stress. At the same time, it's also speaking up for yourself. Because the listening part is that, wow, this is making me feel really uncomfortable. I don't know if I want to continue doing this. Am I ready to actually speak about this in an honest way from my heart? Can I say this in a way that is honoring me, but is also just really objective? Because it can be really challenging, especially when you're around people that have known you a long time, that you trigger buttons in each other. And are you going to say something in a way that still communicates something that's clear, but is honoring what you say, or are you going to try and do it just because you know it's going to push somebody's buttons? Because that's easy to do, too. Let's face it. We all know how to do that in other people. So I think it's a lot of those things. It's also like, hey, if you need to step away, there's no... As much as you might be obligated to explain why you need to do that, sometimes you just need to do that. You excuse yourself. You go out for a walk, like Nicole was saying, just say, hey, I need some fresh air. Even though it's cold, sometimes that little bit of fresh air really wakes you up. So I think it's about, again, being clear on what works for you, understanding that you don't necessarily have to take action right away, honoring what you would like to communicate in a way that feels good for you. And, at these points, especially at this point in time, you can't really be attached to how someone else is going to react to it. Mm-hmm. Because if you're showing up as yourself, that's all you can do.
Right. Well, that was slam-packed great, because there's a lot of things that Katrina said that involves our listening. And this is a heightened time of year. Our senses are heightened, our emotions are heightened, everything is heightened, right? So listening is, as I've said before, is a sense. It's the king of the senses, the queen of the senses, because it's the container, it's the umbrella of all the senses. So listening for the yes and the no. Do I wanna, don't I wanna? Listening for the break. Listening, do I need to take myself outside now? Do I need to, work out? Do I need to do this? What do I need to eat now? We eat a lot of food this time of year that maybe isn't always good for us, and it's listening to our heartbeat that lets us know what we need to be doing for ourselves right now. So that was really, thank you for that. So it's all really important information to say, listening for the rush. There's so much rushing around. Listening for the rush. Really
hey,
good.
Marilyn, can I jump in here?
Not yet, Elaine. Hold on one second. I want to hear from
Okay.
Marguerite first. Thanks. Just hold on for 1 minute.
Sure.
Okay. Thanks. Marguerite, go.
So I so appreciate both Elaine, Kailani, and Katrina, what they said about that, because I'm sitting here trying to be that light, and then I noticed I came into sort of an egocentric feeling, and I think many of us, if we notice when we come back into our listening for, did she acknowledge me, or did he really attacked me there in a little bit? You know, that reactive inner environment that runs our lives when we are not observing it. And if we can allow that higher part of ourself, I call that the higher self, like was talked about here. And so I really wish for everyone who is listening to actually see, can I connect with that higher listening, that the divine, let's say we can call it, is connected with the divine, and that higher self, I think, is connected with the divine, so that we don't take anything personally. We're just acting from our higher self and become our truly authentic being. It's very hard because we're in family situations and eating situations. You feel obligated, you know, and sometimes the best way is to remove yourself from that and take a break, go on a last minute trip somewhere else and change something, because the trait and the patterns always are very strong because we learned them from childhood, right? So to change something, that's my message to you, is like listening for the change that you want to do inside.
And again, you know, this is what I love so much. One of the things I love so much is that, you know, we each have such important pieces to add to this puzzle. All of us, everybody in the film strip, everybody in the comments, we all have things that, wow, that's true. Like, you know, you listen to your higher self, because there is a lot of emotion from everybody going on now. And to be able to listen to that higher, to that forgiveness, to the love, to, you know, who am I and who are you? You know, who are you normally, right? In a normal time of year when we're all not rushing around and speeding around, and who are you normally? I want to remember that. I don't want to always listen to who you are this moment. I want to be aware of who you are this moment, but I know you're also running. So that was really great. That's great advice. Thank you very much for that. Go ahead, Elaine, give us another quote.
Okay.
I keep saying
Well,
a quote. Comment.
The first one, let's see, let me find it again.
Just give me one and we'll take turns. Just give me one.
Okay, well, I was just going to follow up first with Rain Dowell mentioning, you know, I was listening and I needed to feed my stomach, so I did. And that related perfectly to what Katrina was saying about, okay, so you notice something and do you respond to it, you know, immediately or later? And everything about being responsive to how we're going to eat during the holidays. Boy, that comes up a lot. When you're at parties, am I going to stick to my new dietary regimen? Am I going to feel into my joy and, you know, try something new because it looks delicious? Yeah, feel and listen and respond appropriately. And let me unpin that one. And then I do want to highlight that Jeremy Murphy has a lengthy one, which we should pull up shortly.
Okay, we will. And then Pamir, welcome, welcome. I know that you've been in our audience, in our environment, and I'm happy to see you here in living color. And we'll get to Jeremy's too. So, Kilani, what do you think is really valuable in listening during this season that you can add to what we're already talking about? Kalani?
Well, I heard something many years ago, and it was paraphrasing something like this. You're accountable, each of us is accountable for the energy that we bring to a room. And you all know I love everything related to energy because I believe it's the foundation that really powers it all. And so it goes on to say, if you're being accountable for the energy that you bring to a room, you're going to listen and you're going to be aware, what am I bringing? Am I bringing powerful, empowering, uplifting energy to these people that I'm going to now be around? Or am I coming in with all these pre-thoughts, emotions, let's say specifically related to when this holiday season we get together with family. We're always so excited to see family. If we take it from a perspective that most of us don't live near our families, so this time of year has been divinely designed. If we just see it that way, that it was divinely designed to take us to a space of pause one time a year, that is so important to say, let's connect with our family that we live far from. Like Katrina says, lots of family dynamics come up, but if we come from a space of being accountable for our energy, we can come to that gathering in celebration, knowing that yes, things get triggered, people are different. I've been eating vegan for 16 years. None of my family is vegan. So that right there could be an issue. Everybody's going to be cooking and eating turkey and hams and meats and all that kind of stuff, but it doesn't mean that I feel or behave any different because I'm not going to eat that. I think ahead. Do I need to bring something for myself? Where am I going? Are they going to be open to know that they'll have something for me and my family? So if we come from that space of being accountable and wanting to be just celebrating, not getting all tight and constricted with, oh my God, my sister, my brother, they do this, they do that, we get into this. Come from the space of, I haven't seen these people for maybe a year, maybe a two, we just talk on the phone or we connect via this cool social media that we have nowadays. But let me just embrace all the good that I can bring and all the good that I can absorb from being there in high energy rather than coming constricted from this low energy of fear. What's going to come up? How's it not going to go? Did I get the right gift for anybody?
Right.
None of that's important. What's important is trying to just really celebrate every moment and bring your best self. It's not always easy, but if you are listening, then you open the door for yourself to at least be aware. Yeah, let me bring my best self and just, let's say, soak in all I can.
Yeah, and I think, there's some things that you said that I think is really important to pay attention to. Yes, many of us are around a lot of family, and this is a phenomenal time of year to be around family and the gifts and all that generosity and the practicality of being accountable. It's also really important to deep listen now for the generosity that doesn't take money, for the smile, for the person who's alone in the office who still might come in on Christmas Day, to do volunteer work, but to pay really close attention to the difference we can make by listening beyond the noise and our rush to the people who really may need it, who are not part of a community or may feel really alone. So I think, there's so many levels to this. And I want to, I for one want to be tuned in to that part, to those random acts of kindness this time of year. Elaine, you got a juicy one, and then I know Heidi's ready to go too with comments. So Elaine, you got one? Hello? Elaine? Okay. Yeah, go ahead. Do you have one to put up? Oh, you do.
Yes.
I don't know which one you're putting. Okay, go ahead.
You can pin it now, right?
Well, I don't see it on my thing, but go ahead. You pin it. Put the eyeball up.
I did.
Okay, well, read it to us. Go ahead.
Okay. It says, this is Jeremy Murphy, the question of who I am is the pivotal, existential, defining question of the meaning of life. Also, it's one that I must have a great answer to for a job interview next week. There's some rediscovery in this for all of us, especially with transitions in life. The more I think I know about myself, the less I actually know. Perhaps I'm still at the tip of the iceberg. For me, to look to who and what is most closely related to my inner fire, passion, inspiration, in order to answer that question, we all need to create inner silence, rest, relaxation, etc., in order to actively listen, even if it's an hour a day or 5 minutes a day if we're busy. Do we all do that? Yes, conflicting responsibilities and expectations place great demands on our time. Great discussion.
Jeremy, I love you. You are terrific, and I want to thank you so much for being here, and I really would love to invite you into our film strip. You're fabulous, and the idea of rediscovering is so important this time of year. I mean, I love myself. I believe you all in this strip, and a lot of you on the comments, we love ourselves, whether it's parts of ourselves, three-quarters of ourselves, I love myself. That does not mean that I don't want to rediscover more of what I can be. So I love what you just said. So thank you very, very much for that. And I know there's more. So Gail, I want to hear from you, and then we'll go to more comments.
Okay, well, just a quick response to what Jeremy said is that, we're always, when we are listening, when we are that observer, or however you want to say it, out of that process, we're constantly changing, we're growing and changing and opening. That's one of the gifts that the listening brings us, because it allows us to be who we are, which constantly changes. So there was that. But the other thing I wanted to say about the listening and this time of year, the listening is our lifeline all throughout the year, and it's no different now. There's nothing really different about the holidays than all throughout the year, except the fact that the distractions are greater, the pressures are greater, the emotions rise. So in that sense, we just need to be like eternal vigilance. We have to really make that our priority more than ever. Just eternal vigilance. Do it. Listen, listen, listen. It's harder now. It's just as important. I mean, we just need to listen no matter what time of year it is. And during the holiday seasons, what we need to do probably will look a little differently than the rest of the year, because different things are happening. But we just need to listen.
Mm-hmm. And you know what, Gail? There's so much vibration out here. This time of year, it's coming from all over the world because so many people celebrate a holiday this time of year. So the vibration is really like there. It's blaring, and it may not be hard to listen this time of year. It may be really easy to listen because it's so clear. Do you know what I mean? Go ahead, what were you going to say?
Yeah, I was just going to say that I agree with you, but there are so many demands coming from us from all different directions, and emotions run high, and just due to traffic alone, like there's so many different people that you're seeing, people's needs conflicting with one another, and it's just, again, the listening is the listening. You have to do it the same way you always did it. But, it could be harder, it could be easier, depending on the situation.
Well, and it really probably doesn't even really, it doesn't really matter really about the hard or the easy.
Right.
The point is, if I am not for myself all the time, then who will be? And if I am not for myself, if that's not my practice to listen, to be for myself, then these times of years, there's a lot. This time of year can be a lot of noise. But there is a lot of noise. There is a lot of noise. But in what we do, what we're all doing, and I know everyone that's listening and on the comments, what we're doing is we are listening and growing, listening to grow ourselves, so that each time we are faced with things, we hear ourselves more clearly, and we are comfortable with saying yes, and we are comfortable with listening to the no or for the no, and
Right. And
getting
this,
better at it.
yeah, just there's the point I wanted to say again. For
Yeah.
me, everybody's different, but that it doesn't matter that this is the holiday season. Listening is listening. It's our lifeline. 365 days of the year. When we listen, we're going to be doing different things now. Then we're not going to be decorating Christmas trees in April, But the
Absolutely.
listening will let us know what to do. The
Yep.
same way that it always does.
Absolutely.
It's not like we're supposed to be more loving and love our neighbor more just because it's Christmas, or just because it's holiday time. I mean, it's just like who am I, right? Getting
Right.
back to the original quote.
Right.
Who am I? If I know who I am, I'm that same person that needs to be for me more than anybody else, and I need to be for you, because if I'm not, who am I? It doesn't matter if it's April, May, June, December.
Right.
It's the same.
Right. It's the same, but one of the great things about this time of year is we get to practice.
Yes.
So much, so the emphasis on emotion, we get to really practice. We get to really listen to the feeling of our heart. We get to really listen for patience. I mean, this is like a great time of year to say, okay, this is where I've come from. How much have I learned? How can I put it into beingness now?
I think it is more difficult, though, because
It can
everybody's
be.
coming at you, So, again, for me, it goes back to that eternal vigilance, or whatever you want to call it. It's
Absolutely.
like, you got to make this, if the listening is ever going to be your priority, it's now.
This is a great time.
There's so many,
Yes.
demands coming from lots of different, places, and people are so invested. They have their own egos, and it's,
Yes.
a
It's
lot
a
of
great
brouhaha.
Yeah, it's a great time for listeners.
Right.
It's a great time for us.
Yes. Great time for us listeners.
Heidi, what about you? What are you thinking, feeling, listening to?
Yeah, I want to point out that there are three areas of listening, and there are also several ways of listening. And I want to ask you all, everybody who is listening to us, to our voices and seeing our faces, how do you in this moment listen to yourself? How do you listen to yourself? Do you feel your body? So for me, it is a good way to listen to myself, even if I do other things. For instance, to have always a 10% of attention, depends, also more, on my feet, for instance. So I feel grounded down there. So this is the one thing, me, listen to myself. How do you listen to the other people, to us who are talking? How do you listen to them? Do you just hear the words? Do you spin them in your head? Do you feel their emanation? So it's not only the words. Is it something else that you listen to? Listen by seeing the people. Listen by, then it's the third field, listen by entering into the field this person is creating and offering to you, to the listener. Can you pay attention to all three things at the same time? To yourself, listen to yourself, listen in these many ways to the other person, and listen in this energetic way to the field where we are all in. Just, little reminder. Listen, we talk so much about listening, but how are we doing that?
Well, Heidi, you just were like the voice of reason right there, weren't you? I was listening to you, and I'm thinking, wow, she's angelic in this moment. That's what I heard. So yeah, that was perfect. How you are doing it. That was a great summon. Elaine, go.
As Heidi was talking, the thought that came to mind, something from A Course in Miracles, which has been a rich source of inspiration and guidance for me, is that everything is either an expression of love or a call for love. And so no matter where our attention is falling, whether it seems to be on our, our personal self or on another, if we simply ask, if we are in that place of observing, am I really feeling the divine expression of this thing or this person right now? Am I appreciating it? Or is it calling for me to make a particular response and extend my own love? And so that's just a little thing to throw into this mix about listening as we're being in relationship with everything during the holiday season.
Very important. Good points. Now, do you have some good comments out there? I know you do.
Mama Shar has said, I truly tend to be kinder during the holiday season, as if the season opens my heart a little more. And this is completely in alignment with what some of the others have said. I think it was you, Marilyn. You were saying, because there are so many celebrations of this being a holy season, the light is amped up. And I do agree with you. I think it's easier to give permission to letting our own light shine forth and be our authentic selves in this season. But that's a choice. It's a choice.
Well, Marianne Williams said, you know what she said? Let my own light shine, and when I do, I give other people permission to light theirs. That's not exactly her words, but that's what she said. Go ahead. Good.
And let's see. Here's one from Raindell. We get to really practice this time of year, Marilyn Shannon. I love how you phrase it. And Adelaide Hornline, you phrase things wonderfully. There are many ways to listen to the others. How do you listen? And so Rain really has, being a part of this group of love and this extension, is really asking each one of the viewers and listeners, just notice for yourself, how do you listen? And Heidi gave us some wonderful ways to consider for ourselves.
Elaine, do you have something from Pannier? Because I haven't seen any of it. I saw his comment come from before, and I'm so happy he's here.
Let me scroll down.
Yeah, do you have something from him? And while she's doing that, go ahead. Find it? Go ahead.
I did just a minute, and then here we go. Here we go. Listening is the king of the senses, Marilyn Shannon. Yes, it's the power behind the senses. And if we use it, we can also modulate the fire hose that happens at this time of year. That's it.
That's great. Perfect. Well, it is. It's the permission. It's the door closing, opening. It's the forgiveness. It's really everything. It's really, as we have been saying, as Heidi said, how you listen. Are you listening? And in all the different ways that you can listen, that still amounts to listening, because it's all the same. It's just, tuning in is really going to make the difference in having a great holiday, a great transition, a great learning experience. So we're almost out of time. Can you believe it? This has been great. Katrina, thanks for bringing it up, because it was wonderful, the whole concept, and certainly look forward to coming back in January, the first Thursday in January, to begin again, begin anew, begin an old, whatever, I don't know. I don't have all the answers, so I don't know. But in closing, I do want to wish you all a wonderful, wonderful holiday, and I'd like each of you to just take a few, not a few moments, just a little bit of time, and, if you have something special coming up, please share it, and just your wishes for the holiday. Heidi, you want to start?
Yeah, I want to share that we are doing a weekly show. It's called The Wisdom Factory, and I invite you all to listen to that. And on New Year's Eve, this is Wednesday where we have the show, everybody is invited to join us for a party, New Year's party. So let me know if you want to come into the film strip. I invite you. And then another thing I would invite you, I'm beginning in January a beta version of the relationship beyond your wildest dreams. And if you want to hop up for very little money, I'm happy to have you. Only 9 people can come, not more, because it's on Hangouts.
Good. Perfect. Thank you. And happy holiday to you. Elaine?
Okay. I'm happy to share that the Holy Shift Show is continuing on Tuesdays. And next Tuesday, Heidi Hornline is going to be joining me. The discussion's going to be called The Miracle Propeller, Forgiving and Forgetting. And that's all about releasing judgment of ourselves and others. Again, all the holiday brouhaha, the feelings that come up, but how forgiving and forgetting really opens us up to a different kind of experience of abundance during this season.
Thanks, Elaine. And thank you very much, Elaine, for work in the comments. Gail?
I just want to wish everybody a very happy holiday season. I've been taking it a little bit slower now after the big push of my book launch for Finding Zoe. I actually had my first book discussion last weekend in my neighborhood around here. It was a book signing, book discussion. It was really great. I look forward to having some more. And Brandy and I are just talking about what our next push is going to be. So looking forward to the new year and seeing what it brings.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kalani?
Happy holidays, everyone. Really take the time to enjoy this season for what it is meant to be, to bring us all together. So I will be launching in February my Inner Wealth Mastery. It's a women's 9-month master heart mentorship. So look for more of that in my website, kalyani.roldan.com. And also the Extraordinary Inner Wealth podcast is coming out. I wanted it to be before the end of the year, but it may be the beginning of next year.
Cool. Wow. Great group. Katrina?
I just wanted to say how grateful I am to not only be able to do the show every week with you guys, but to connect with all of you every week. Not only the people on the panel either, but all of the listeners out there. And as far as the holidays go, just enjoy yourself. Do what you can to deep listen, enjoy the best you can, and reflect on what really makes you happy so you can take that love into the next year. If you want a little bit of a break and you feel like you want to read something, you can always go back and check out old posts at creativekatrina.com to sort of align you with some creativity and mindfulness and remind you of why you're so awesome.
Great. That's great. And Marguerite?
So I want to remember the words that Gail said about listening is our lifeline. And so that is what I'm going to take to heart, and I thank everyone for you for letting me be here and have my voice heard and share my gifts that I have equally to yours. I am very, very grateful. And if anyone wants to know more about what my offerings are, you can go to thecrystallotus.com. Currently, we have the program going on called Your Healing Journey, and it's going to be launched again probably in February. So I wish everyone the best time of your life in the coming season. And as I said, listening is your lifeline. And thank you, Marilyn, for this show. I am so grateful.
Thank you. Well, I don't think there's any more that I could say other than I appreciate each and every one of you. And there was another little quote that I put on the look at the event pages, all of you from, I don't know if you do, from, during the week of my planning or we planning the show, but I always love to add some, messages and quotes of things that I find. So it's like, it's exciting for me to find them because I feel like they speak to what we're doing. And to each and every one of you, sometimes I'll find something and I'll put it there and I'm thinking, oh, like this was for Elaine, a funny New Year's resolution. start this new year with a laugh instead of a grand intention. So, Elaine, that was to you. So each week you might find something for you, and that includes all of you in the comment. I think about all of you, and where you're coming from, and some of your comments that you make. And when I post things, I think of you when I post them. I listen to what you seem to say, and I try to find something that is going to shed some light. And I love how Nicole put something she said, a quote, into like a beautiful image, a graphic. So I think that's wonderful if we keep doing that, and spreading this whole idea of SkyWire, just reach the world. So be yourself, express yourself, value yourself, forgive yourself, bless yourself, express yourself, trust yourself, love yourself. And with that, love you so much. Have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful Christmas, holiday, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, anything you celebrate. And we'll see you in January. Anybody with a final word? Anybody? I guess, go ahead.
Let your light shine.
Let your light shine. And that's a song, right? Elaine, let your light shine. All right. I'm signing off, everyone. Please stay in touch. If I can help you in any way, shape, or form, just write me, call me, text me, email me. I don't care. I love connecting. Bye.